Good morning. Well, today we're going to be working on stuff because, well, we need to do work. It is Friday. So let's see what we got going on. The big thing I think that we'll be doing is we'll be fixing up some stuff with the editor first. So what we'll be doing is, looks like we want easy stuff to create, easy ways to create entities from blueprints. And we need to be able to set a lot of different things. We need to be able to set we need to be able to set quite a bit of things with our entities if we need to. So we need to figure out a very good way that we can actually do this. So like when we spawn something, we're going to want a little bit more information than just, well, you know, create a new fat sack or something. We want to like create a new fat sack, but also do something with that. So let's see what we have right now. So what we got now is like create entity by name. So we can create like these entities by their specific names or by their classes. So the question is, how do we actually want to create these entities? You know, like, do we want just be like create log tunnel? Do we want to like create an entity and immediately put it into like some sort of state? Like, let's say we're a boss character and we want to create a whole bunch of fat sacks that go into their suicide bomber, explode, attack, or whatever state that we want. Or if we want them to like immediately go into flee, or if we want them to immediately go into like digging, I don't know. Just like we want to create a new entity and we want it to immediately take some action, or if we want to create an enemy but we want to make it super, or just we want to create an entity. Well, there's a difference between an entity and like a character, is there? Let's see what we've got. And he wasn't at first. Am I on? Am I sneaky? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I just came on because I was busy helping Adam with some of the latest Unreal stuff and some website stuff, and now I'm actually getting the real work. Also, good morning, Lucas. I hope you're doing well. So right now, what can we do with the entities? We're like create entity, and we give it an entity or an entity proxy. And these are not creating actually entities, they're creating Well, they are creating entities. Okay. So let's see, we've got these obstacles, and we got like log tunnel, which is an entity. You can't get a signal, it's just loading. Well, according to Twitch, everything's going fine. So I'm not sure. I'm broadcasting at 1080p or whatever, and since I'm not like a partner or anything, I can't broadcast at any other quality settings. So I'm sorry if that's not working out for you, but I don't know if there's much I can do about it without making the whole stream look like crap for everyone, including those in the future who may watch. You got sound at least? Huh. Yeah, it makes it seem like there's some sort of video issue there. Well, I can restart the stream real quick. Just like stop it and then start it again. Yeah, phones don't really do a whole heck of a lot of good for you there. They'll have issues. So, alright, so this log tunnel thing is an actual, like, it goes off of Dashkin object actor. So it's not actually making an entity, it's making an object. So I think maybe, yeah, we've got these things wrong, don't we? Like, subclass object actor here probably is totally all sorts of screwed up. What we want is an entity actor. This is not actually creating the class that we want. This is creating not an entity actor, but an object actor. So let's see, we want create object by class and object by name. That's what we need for these entity utils. Good morning, Karakan. How is your day going? Thanks for stopping by. Alright, so the object actor should be there. Well, let's see if we can actually get this working then. We'll fix these blueprints because we got some things that are messed up. How was my morning? Well, I woke up and I was helping Adam out with a few glitches he was having with the new version of Unreal. Looks like the new point release of Unreal takes a lot more memory for compiling shaders and stuff like that, and it was kind of frustrating, because it's like, you don't know if there's something busted with the new release or if, something else. And it turned out just like to be simpler issues. It was like, oh, well, it's taking a while because you need more RAM on your machine or things like that. So I usually like it when solving problems turns into something that you did wrong, as opposed to like, well, get a better mousetrap. That's why you're not catching any mice. Because getting a better mousetrap usually costs money, and is usually the preferable solution. I mean, not the preferable solution. I'd rather be like, oh, the pen is blue, not red. Those are usually easier to fix. Let's go fix our blueprints. They're fixing stuff, yeah. Yeah, I'd rather, go through a process and at the end of it be like, well, it's busted because we're idiots, and, the process of fixing it has now partially fixed that we are morons and that we have now realized our mistakes and have corrected them. Versus, oh, yeah, well, nothing was wrong. You were doing it right. That's just how it is now. Oh, that's never fun. So if we compile this blueprint, it's interesting that create entity by name still exists. Yeah, call unknown function. All right, I compiled you. All right, so what I'm thinking is because this thing isn't actually getting run by anything, that it's like, oh yeah, you're awesome. That's stupid. So what we're actually going to do here is we're going to delete some of these. We're going to have this node come in here with this one run up here. And then if we compile it, yeah, then we get errors. Okay, that's actually kind of frustrating. Like I would have expected these blueprint nodes to, when you run compile, it'd be like, hey, this is all busted. It's not getting run by anything, but it is broken. And this right here should be create object by name. And this needs to be replaced. We need create object by class. Yeah, well, if he's on his phone, that would make a lot more sense to me why it would be messed up. Because, if you're broadcasting at 1080p like I am right now, phones can definitely have some problems going on with them. Because it's a lot of data, right? Okay, so that's how we create an effect by name and create objects. So I don't need create entities, so the question would be, how should I actually set up creating stuff? I haven't touched any of my settings for quite a while now. Also, I should probably do something, right? Like, I've got 100 followers now. I should schedule something. That's like a milestone, right? That's like something that people should celebrate. Maybe, something like that. Might just be Twitch changing stuff again. Yeah, they do that a lot. They rolled out broken crap all the time on us when we were at Amazon, and it was frustrating to say the least. Yeah, follower hype. It's true. It's true. As an affiliate, do I actually get like an emote or something? Should I be like actually going and making that, or is that just? Why not? I don't know Twitch that well. I should probably endeavor to know it better. So we have the effects, we have create object by name, we want like create entity by name. Let me just take a quick look at the what we're actually loading these things from. Oh yeah, they haven't, yeah right, it was like emotes are coming for affiliates or whatever. So okay, we're calling. Alright, so we get it by class, we just get it by class directly. When we do create object by name, we're calling get entity class by name. And we put that in the data manager. Alright, so we can look at like which things we loaded as entities real quick. Alright, so we got the Bitey player proxy, the FatSack proxy, Bitey player, standard player. I think we probably need to split them out somehow, don't we? Because Dashkin object actor is different from Dashkin entity actor. Entity actors have like things on them that make them smart. So we probably need to make another thing here where entities are specifically called out. Because we're customizing entities by I'm trying to figure out exactly how I want entity creation to work, and this is one of those where it's not always as straightforward as like, well, I just need to set this up and this up. It's more opinion based as to what you want. So it could take a little bit of thinking. So when we put up the editor, because kind of what we got is when we have these characters, such as FatSack, like his entity proxy is just this data. There's nothing on him that does anything. So in order to customize what this thing is, like, you can't really say much about the entity other than like it uses the FatSack thing, which is a 2D animated character. So if you wanted to like add a little 3D thing to FatSack or another flipbook entirely, like he'd be made out of two different pieces, then like you just can't do that. Which isn't really a problem. So I think when you split up entities and objects will be more just blueprint stuff, and it's like you deal with it yourself, and the entities will just be data things. So let's take a look. The Bitey player is also an entity. So Bitey player is a player proxy. So player proxies can also be used to create entities. That's true. We got Bitey player and standard player. But I think those are separate, so we should actually modify the data manager. Alright. So I'm still kind of making my list of tasks. So I need to modify the data manager to have entity proxies and have entity proxies and entity and player proxies. So let's go ahead and get started with that. Alright, so we're going to need quite a few things here changed. So we got T-array of UObject players, and we have objects, T-array of UObject players. Let's see, I guess they're called players would be a good one. Let's see, object classes, player classes. Then we have the objects map, object map, and player map. Object class map and player class map. So also I'm kind of still waking up. I've been awake for a little while, but so I'm gonna be a little slow, just thinking things through, which is what we do. Get all objects and get all players. Get all object classes. Get all player classes. Get object by name. And get player by name. Get object class by name. Get player class by name. So we need to make all these things. So we get all objects, get all players. Does this need to be a U class with U properties on it? I don't think so, because these are all things that should exist in their base form. So we should have get all object classes, get all player classes. And this is to distinguish between the objects and the entities and the players. Just so we have them all nicely separated. So now when we load things, we need to actually figure out what they are. Alright, so we need entity classes, we need object classes, and we need player classes. So we need to get the object class set, get the player class set, and we need to do the same thing. Objects, alright, save class and effect class map. We need the object class map and objects, object classes. Alright, so object map, objects, object class, and all that. Alright, that's fine. So we need the player classes. This is object asset, player asset, object asset. Alright, so it's going to be entity map. This should be the player map. And we should have players. The player class map and the player classes. And I believe we templated out these things to include these static class names here, so we need to actually go back into our data. Steam site of Dashkin, game data, objects. So we need to check this out. So we got entity classes. We're going to need object classes. And we're going to need player classes. So the entity classes should be the just Dashkin entity actor, I believe, and entity proxy. No, entity proxy should be so I think it should look something sort of like this. Well, maybe entity proxy should be in here. I have to figure that out real quick. Either way, we need to open up our template generation and generate these new things that we need. Is it entity data or is it something else? Looks like it's inside of entity data. All the object classes and all the player So it's going to be get object class set and get player class set. Make sure we spell everything right. So object classes. So the player classes. Alright, well, let's generate all this code. And again, the reason we're generating some of these game data things is so that not only do we get things that we can refer to at compile time, but things we can refer to at runtime. Let me see, the entity proxy, we've got entity proxy object. So if we have a Dashkin entity actor class, is that going to be a blueprint off of a Dashkin entity actor or an entity proxy? An entity actor is going to be the actual actor. The entity proxy is going to be the actual object that we can create, I think. So entity proxy actually has enough information about the entity to prescribe the height, pretty much everything about it, including the AI and movements and everything. So it may be that Dashkin entity actors, I mean, that's basically we're cloning something that already exists. Let's fix some of these warnings that are popping up with the latest release. They're complaining about some functions becoming deprecated, so we're just going to slowly fix those as we come across them. It's good to have a project with no warnings in it. Warnings are usually very helpful. Right, oh yeah, I replaced this with the wrong thing. I was fixing the wrong error. I was fixing the error that was actually not an error. So the question is, if I'm going to be spawning a new object, if it's an entity proxy, it's going to have all the cool stuff and it's going to have information on it. If it's a Dashkin entity actor, what does that actually mean? Let's make sure that our loading code works properly here. Okay, so loaded asset, test effector, blueprint, energy channel, kill and then unfinished as component, as object, as effect. So bitey player proxy is an entity, fatsack proxy is an entity, test char is an object, log tunnel is an object. Good, so looks like those things work properly. What about as a player? Why didn't we load up the players? Let's take a look real quick at the players. So a player proxy objects was for the player class set. Player classes is there, so player proxy should have been picked up. So maybe my eyes missed it. So went through game characters, gameplay, and gameplay didn't grab anything out of that. I mean, these are player proxies. It says it is bitey player. Oh yeah, okay, so there's a typo in our code right here. So it should be player classes for that, and we were passing in the wrong value. And that's also one thing. Dashkin. And one thing we actually want to test out is if our UI is still working. We have not actually used that in quite a while, so I want to make sure it actually works with the latest release. And I have absolutely no idea what is in the UI, so it's inside of should be Dashkin UI. Let's see what this UI looks like. Our UI should look something like this. So let's change our debug settings here. Basically, we just have command arguments. We just say like UI equals true. Hit apply, and when we run, we should see our UI pop up and do stuff for us. And I have absolutely no idea if this will just crash the hell out of everything. We did merge in like Chromium embedded framework stuff, but No idea if it's still working. It's been months since I touched it. Alright, and you see, we do have it up here. I've got this. Doesn't look like everything is working though. I think this should be creating screens. So let's see, Bitey player loaded as player, standard player loaded as player. Alright, so we got all of our assets correctly loaded properly. We want to finish up working on some of this stuff before I go tackle some of those UI problems. Did I serve you? Yeah, alright, so serve local UI. So I actually had this thing where I needed something, so it's got to be port 8080. Alright, so localhost 8080 / index.html. Okay, there we are. So what our UI should look like is this, and we should be able to like call create screen. And we've got our screen here, which is our test screen. And we should be able to like, drag it around nicely, and it should resize all the things properly. See, it's resizing not only our text, but our boxes. We should be able to create a screen, create another screen on top of it, pop that screen, and then should be good to go. And like, this is our less yes/no dialogue and all that stuff. And you can actually navigate with the keyboard, like I'm doing right here. So I can say like no, and all that. So I can do like, I can actually navigate. And this navigation would also work for like the Xbox controller and everything. So we need to figure out why in the game this is not working at all anymore. But we're gonna do that after I figure a few things out. We need to change our entity utils. So create object safe doesn't use entity class, it uses object class. So create object by class should call data manager. Wait, is this not even using the data manager? Well, it doesn't need to get it. No, does it? So get object by class. Yeah, same thing here. We can get rid of that. Object by class, create object by name. I think that was the only thing. Perhaps we have some data manager utils that we also need to fix. Let's go take a look. Get entity by name. Yeah, okay, so we need to call get entity by name, get effect by name. We need a couple more things. We need get object by name, and we need get player by name. This should be get object. Yeah, get entity here, and then object on the rest should be correct when we implement them. We shouldn't need to be able to get the class by name because in blueprints we can just get the class directly. So just double check that all this stuff's working properly, and then we'll get back to the UI. And this, basically for the next couple, this week right now, I've got, for myself, it's project planning, update the Unreal version, improved character import, snap to grid, stuff like that. Just basically a bunch of editor improvements. Because it's kind of like we got our prototype, I got a whole bunch of stuff in there, and then basically as soon as anybody started using the editor, like myself and Adam, all of a sudden we had just a laundry list of little things. Like we were doing object snapping yesterday, and we got it so we could snap objects together in the editor, and snapping collision stuff to various places and all that, working well. Alright, so let's go make sure our player is compiling properly. And yeah, I think it compiled properly. That is a lot of objects. Basically there I was making an object every single frame. And of course we don't need to do that. Okay, so when we hit play, what should be happening is we call create screen here. And the alert is working, so we know our JavaScript is there. Like we can reload the page, but create screen isn't doing anything. Neither is yes, no dialogue. So, the web windows must have something new in them, so why don't we go take a look at some of this. It has been quite a while since I messed around with all these things. So what I want to compare is this these diffs. So like, what did I actually change here for some of these? Like, that we can get the web browser. I also changed the viewport. Also changed being able to get the viewport size. And it looks like, yeah, just some more size scaling issues. We're able to invoke a JavaScript method by name. Invoke a JavaScript method by name. And we also changed it so our position works. So what we want to do is we want to be able to allow cross-site scripting if it's a local file. So like basically what I've got is I've got a window that's popping up a WebKit window. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into my source runtime web browser, and I'm going to look at the history of this thing. Looks like everything got changed with all the things. I don't have a good basis then, because there's a lot of stuff. This was part 9. This change list I think was freaking gigantic. Yeah, this change list had change list 125 had absolutely an insane number of files, like 20 some thousand. Yeah, Perforce has just completely locked the hell up on me. Yeah, just look at how many files that change list had in it. Just atrocious. Come on, Perforce. You can do it. You can stop locking up on me anytime. So we're going to have to go dig into this a little bit to see exactly what's going on, because what's going on is the same thing that happens in Chrome. Like in Chrome, if I just access the file directly, I'm getting cross-origin requests are only supported for protocol schemes that we want, and when I load it from my web server, I can do all the things that I want. So it's probably the exact same issue. There's some cross-site stuff going on with the UI in game. So we want to allow the cross-site scripting stuff to work properly for our local files, because we trust our local files because we wrote them. So this is inside of our web browser. Is there anything where we actually like make a request? Well, maybe I do have a copy of this real quick. I've got dev SSD 3. Maybe I can actually pull up WinMerge on this stuff properly. Because it's very clear to me that I changed something and I didn't catch the diff properly. So we changed the view there, the viewport. We changed the web browser. And viewport sizes. What do we change inside of here? It's still just invoke.js method. Well, is there like a runtime, like a third-party CEF3 sort of thing that we maybe have a difference in? Maybe we actually did something to Chromium Embedded Framework or something like that. So there is a difference. The README here is different, but that looks like just line endings. So everything's the same. So everything's the same and it doesn't work. Okay, great. So what we want to do is kind of dig into it a little bit. So let's try to get our bearings a little bit. So this is our window. We have like set URL and like all this stuff.